Worm and fluke infestation have been a burden on livestock for centuries, causing large productivity losses for Africa's farmers. Preventing weight gain, causing a drop in milk yield, and even causing death. A bad case of roundworm infestation. The loss of production from these worms can be huge, depending on the species of worm and other circumstances, such as the nutrition and age of the animal. Anything between 1,000 and 50,000 worms may produce symptoms of disease. Once established in cattle or sheep, each roundworm can produce between 5 and 10,000 eggs per day. So one heavily infested animal harboring around 3,000 female worms may contaminate a pasture with several million eggs daily for up to 20 consecutive months. When the larvae hatch on the ground, they can survive for many weeks or even months, before entering another animal as it grazes. So what signs are there that animals are suffering from roundworm infection?
Well, the main clinical signs, they are really associated with the productivity losses. You get the animal loses body condition, it becomes very unthrifty, and actually there is a loss of appetite, which in turn leads to loss of the growth rates, and at times you may even get animals actually not growing at all. You get a retardation.
Young, immature animals in particular are susceptible. Always try to graze young animals on clean pasture and treat regularly. With tapeworms, there's slightly less of a problem, but when numbers increase, there are a number of visible signs in young animals. These can include a rough coat, pot belly, gastrointestinal disturbances, and even anemia. In many cases, appetite remains, but there's no weight gain, and there may even be a loss of weight. When infestation by worms is high, the animals look positively out of condition. They don't put on weight, and they are more susceptible to other diseases, as their natural defenses are suppressed.
It is very easy to see the sassaflies, very easy to see ticks, but worms are normally hidden in the animals. And the farmers themselves, they do not very commonly identify until when they realize that the calf, for example, is not growing well, it has got starry coat, it is having diarrhea. And then that's when they come to us, veterinarians, to go and check on the animals. And when we take the fecal samples, that's when we know that it is a problem with worms. So based on that, we have the common extension approach to the farmers that they should worm their calves. It is very important that they worm them after weaning, so that when they clear them of worms, then these calves can grow very fast.
Another liver condemned because of liver fluke. A loss for the farmer and the cause of lost productivity in the animal.
Where the fluke has been a problem in the liver, you look at the excessive development of scar tissue and the tracts through which the liver fluke has traveled, especially the bile ducts become enlarged, become the liver consistency also becomes fibrous and not really good to eat. And in that case, you go ahead and condemn. Of course, when we slice the liver up, we find there's a lot of liver flukes going all over the whole tracts in the liver.
The liver fluke has a complex life cycle involving the limnia snail as an intermediate host. After liver fluke eggs have hatched, the larval stages need to penetrate and develop in a limnia snail, which is commonly found in wet areas. Infestating forms of the liver fluke are liberated from the snail. These are then ingested by animals whilst grazing. Once inside the animal, they migrate to the liver and become adult flukes. When there's a big intake of flukes, sheep and cattle can die within a few days. But normally it's the gradual build-up of flukes in the liver which causes the animals to become weak over a period of a few months. The lost productivity can be a huge blow to all farmers. So for liver fluke, roundworms and tapeworms, farmers need to have an action plan that will work, and a good control program will enable them to boost income. Whether you have 1 or 2 animals or a large herd, you need to have the best advice.
In this country like Kenya, we can generally divide the country into high potential and low potential areas. And I think in the high potential areas, you don't have to use more than 4 times a year on a flock. And as I said, individual animals could be treated differently, but as a general treatment for the flock, you need about 4 times a year. Now in the lower potential areas, that's the dry areas, you probably need much less than that.
Strategic times to give treatment against worms are at the beginning and the end of each rainy season. In countries with long rainy seasons, additional treatments may be necessary. Young animals, sheep and goats, are more susceptible and should be treated not just at the beginning and end of the rains, but also in between. An interval of 4 to 8 weeks between treatments is recommended during times of challenge. In order to control liver fluke, especially in wet or marshy highland areas, it's suggested that treatment is ideally given every 3 months or so, depending on the severity of the problem. Your veterinarian can give advice to adapt these general guidelines to local conditions. Good livestock handlers will always keep an eye out for individual cases of worm infestation. Farmers should treat all animals that are suspected of being burdened by worms with a reputable product. There are a large number of different types of treatment available. So what should the farmer look for?
There are drugs which are probably substandard in the market and some which are probably fake drugs or fake products which probably don't contain any of the active ingredients. And I will advise the farmers to be careful about this and preferably use drugs which are known, and this could be done through the help of the veterinarians.
Once you've decided on the product to use, find the application that's best for you. The products come in many pack sizes, but the larger packs usually work out cheaper per animal. For a small-scale farmer, you can apply using a drench. If you use a convenient bolus, this is the correct way to deliver it. For large-scale farmers, a drench gun makes the job easier. And a bolus applicator can be used when the animal is in a crush.
Once cows are burdened with worms, they will not perform to their optimal. So you have to do a regular deworming. If you need your cows to grow well, your calves to grow well, if you need your cows who are wet to produce enough milk to their maximum.
When
you see that once he has dewormed the animals, and you know, the health of the animals improve. So those who are not deworming, we'll compare the health of his animals and the health of the animals, so they will know that it's better to do the routine deworming.
For good, healthy productivity, without the burden of worms.